Hey guys! So this is our spoiler review of Illuminae. And we actually got this book as an advance copy at BF. Unfortunately, we didn't end up getting around to it.
It looked really daunting.
Yeah! I mean, it was everywhere at BF. Like, generally you had to fight people for books. This was just sitting in piles because there were so many of them that everybody kind of just walked off with a copy.
This is an arc, okay? This is an arc. It's hardback.
It looks exactly
It's
like
beautiful.
a finished copy.
It's beautiful. Look at that.
Look at the inside, too. Some of these pages, let's see if I can find, like, they're all done up. They're like word art.
There you go.
See, like, bouncing words. And just, look at that. It's like planets and sun and moon. And I found it really hard to tell what this book was about just from, like, looking at it.
It is a space epic.
I know, you don't really get that from the cover, but it is a space epic. In it, it's told through IMs and, you know, Wikipedia pages and security transcripts. You name it, it's in there, basically. And the shit that goes down in this book, holy crap,
And you get
man.
to be like the first third and you're pretty much ready for it to end. Just because that's... The amount that happens in the first third of the book is the equivalent to about a 400-page novel.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're bored and it's not that you want it to end. The amount that's happened, you're just like, okay, I'm ready for it to wrap. Oh shit, we're not even into it yet.
Yeah. You're like, this is probably the climb. Nope. Basically what happens in this book is there's a girl named Katie, and she had a boyfriend named Ezra, but they broke up on the wrong day of the year. This is the day of the year that someone decides to attack her planet. It is an illegal mining colony, and it is run by a corporation called Wallace-Ulyanov Consortium. So they've been attacked by Baytek. So Baytek is sending troops in, and they're also testing their new bioweapon, which is in the form of big black smoke. Katie and Ezra escape. They're refugees now on 3 different ships. One of them's a battleship called the Alexandra. There is the Hypatia, which is kind of like a support ship. And there's Copernicus,
Which is the science ship.
Katie is on the Hypatia, and
Ezra's on the Alexander.
yes. And they're going along, and, you know, they're kind of being drafted into the army because there's not enough people to support everything. But the problem is the Alexander was damaged in the fighting with Baytek, and their AI has been hit. So they can no longer hyperjump into space. So they're limping along, and Baytek is, like, right behind them. And they're trying to get to this jump station so they can, A, get a message out, because it doesn't seem like anybody's been receiving their messages, and B, they can then jump on and
Get out
away.
of deep space, get to, like, where people are so they wouldn't attack because, you know, evidence. Evidence.
But this is when shit really starts to go wrong. Katie's kind of doing her own loner thing. She's like a hacker. She's very, like, in your face, screw you, I'm independent.
She starts to realize that, you know, a lot of information is not going out.
Like, there are gaps in things that should be known. So she doesn't join the military. She resists.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ezra becomes a fighter pilot. And so things are going along. Things are fine. And then Copernicus starts to send out help. Distress signals. And sends out a whole bunch of refugee ships. But Aiden takes control, shoots them out of space. And the humans had no control. They couldn't, like, speak to each other. They just kind of had to follow orders because it's a military thing. They're freaking out because their AI has just, like, overridden every protocol ever, and they managed to shut him down. But now they're even more screwed because if Baytek comes around, they can't even fire their nukes at them. Long story short, this is a very long story, there is a virus that has been infecting the crew. Some of the Copernicus refugees have managed to get to Alexandra, but now they're under quarantine because holy fuck, what did Baytek do to them?
So that bioweapon, it was... Basically, it made you catatonic. Like, it worked on, like, the fear aspect of your brain, made you catatonic so they could go in, do the thing, and go out. But the problem is, you have all these people who've been infected because they didn't realize, they thought people were just in shock, they didn't realize it was a bioweapon. So they were all mixing together on the one shuttle, and so it infected everyone, and it just kept going through and going through and going through and then it started to mutate, and so it just became this awful, horrible disease. Like, awful. Like, think of the Reavers from Firefly mixed in with a little bit of strain, you know? Like, a little bit of the...
No, it's more like the guys from 2080s Later.
Yeah, okay, some rage, some strain.
Like, they've just seen, like, the edge of space and gone crazy. They're now, like, killing each other, like, brutally murdering each other. They're like, don't look at me. And just, like, bad.
And a little bit of sunrise. A little bit of sun, or sunshine, whatever that was, the movie where they go to restart the sun. Like, every kind of, like, every one of my worst nightmares, because, like, one of the things that I can't read that trope where you're trapped in space or in a submarine and things go wrong. That's why I was really hesitant to read The Martian. So I started reading this and it's like, oh, there's an infection, and I'm just like, fuck. So it's everything that makes my worst nightmare. Nice little tiny orange book. It's orange and pretty. Look how friendly it is.
Oh, yeah. So Katie's slowly trying to get information. Ezra is just trying to, like, be in the military. Aiden is actually trying to keep people safe, but in trying to keep people safe...
He is totally messing with the 3 rules of robotics.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's starting to develop feelings and emotions, and he doesn't understand that. And he's like, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So I can kill 2,000 people over here to keep these, like, 8,000 people safe. And people are like, no, Aiden, don't do that. Those are human lives.
He's like, I don't get it. Sorry,
Why?
guys.
What do you care? I'm starting to care, but why do you care? Like, I'm sorry. And then, okay, the captain's name is Dave. Okay, the commander's name is Dave. And I'm just like, just say it. Come on. Say it.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Say it.
I can't do that.
I will play classical music. Like, he even plays chess against Aiden, and I'm like, 2001: A Space Odyssey right there.
Just
See what you did?
Gradually, things start to get worse and worse because the humans try and take back control from Aiden. That doesn't work. Aiden's just like, screw all of you and your little strings.
They send a logic bomb. They send a logic bomb over to the Lincoln, which is the ship chasing them. They have to turn Aiden online to do so.
And Aiden's just like,
Aiden's like, I win, I'm back, I'm gonna fuck you all up.
Slowly getting more and more damaged now because people are starting to fight back. Aiden has, like, I don't know why, he releases a whole bunch of...
Oh, because he wants to take out the command, because the command wants to separate the ship.
Right.
So he's like, oh, to save these 7,000 people, I have to sacrifice these 2,000 people.
That's right.
And so he opens up the bay doors, lets all of the infected out, and then it just gets shitty.
Like, real shitty. Basically, one of the tech guys is like, Aiden, I'm not letting you do this. He starts destroying things, so Aiden is even more damaged than he was before. And finally, Aiden, like, manipulates Katie into fixing him, telling her that Ezra is dead. And
I really wanted Ezra to stay dead. I'm sorry.
I agree.
I'm sorry. One of the big things is that, oh, no, he's not here. He's dead. And I'm like, oh!
Yeah, and then they're like, no, he's not dead. And you're like,
I'm like, no, keep him dead. Keep him dead. I don't want the romance. Keep him dead.
I mean, the romance wasn't awful.
No, but, you know,
it would have been nice character development.
Yeah, because, like, okay, it's just, like...
She's like, oh my god, he's dead. Like, we had so much together.
He could have turned into, like, this crazy, super psychotic hacker.
And, you know, you feel all these emotions. You're like, oh, he's dead. That's really sad.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed about this. And then he's, like, alive. And you're like, well, I felt all that for nothing. Thank you very much.
Like, it's like, it got punched. That
was kind of like, surprise, I was lying.
Aiden was my favorite character.
Oh, yeah, mine too. He's got his, like, speeches about, like, morality and, like, his logic processes, and his line is like, am I not merciful? And you're just
this
like...
is not a drill, this is not a drill. Just like, oh god, I love him. And he's, like, kind of in love with Katie in this really weird way.
Yeah, it's awkward.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean...
He's kind of made up of every AI that you've ever experienced. Like, I recently read, that was another thing. So I read this, like, classical sci-fi novel, short, like, super famous, considered one of the most disturbing things ever written. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Great title. You should read it, it's great. But the robot in it is called AM. And he's got, like, the character's like, I have no mouth and I must scream. And he's going on like, I have no breath and I must sigh. And I'm like,
fucking know what you're doing. I see it.
I see you. You've read all the books I've read. I was like ready to scream at this book. I was like ready to throw it across the room. I'm like, stop upping it! Stop upping your ante!
So by the end of this, Katie has managed to help Aiden destroy the fleets that are chasing them. As the Hypatia gets away, Katie ends up getting picked up by the Hypatia later on, and she goes and she pretends that she's a, I don't know, forensic
like a data collector.
Yeah, forensic data collector. And she works for Baytech, and she's
compiles this bad boy.
Yeah, and then she's like, I know what you did, and I'm gonna show the whole world. And it turns out that the woman who kind of orchestrated all this shit was Ezra's mother.
Boom, boom, boom.
And Aiden has escaped alive as like a chip.
Yep.
So it is just a shit show of stuff. And it is, you know what, it's like the best of every science fiction thing you've ever read.
And I find that with a lot of science fiction books, it's really hard to find something original just because it's like with fantasy, how you have the set story and everyone just follows that set story, but every once in a while you find something that like does something new with all the things that you know, and that's this.
It's really good. And I mean, like, all their IMing stuff, you know, it's really a lot of fun, and it feels natural. It doesn't feel forced in any way.
And I know we give IMing books a lot of shit, but
this does it right.
This does it right because it like you said, it doesn't feel forced with like TTYL and all that. It's very like, you can see how it's fabricated. This felt like you were actually reading someone's chat logs.
Like, they make like random little spelling mistakes like you would do, but they're not intentional spelling mistakes for the characters. They're just like typing and they don't care, right?
And I mean, it's really easy to get through just because it's very pretty. Like, you know, it's not, this isn't like walls of text. Like, you have certain sections where it is like traditional, like, novel.
But they're very few and
far between. Like, it's all.
Most of it is text, messaging, or diagrams, or word art, or, lots of stuff.
When, like, you're looking at it like this, when I picked it up and started reading it, and it just, like, progressively gets darker, and I'm just like, oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no.
The world is gonna end.
So, yeah, if you haven't read this book, you have to read it.
It is so good. If you're not a sci-fi fan, I think you'll still like this book. It's got a little bit of romance, not too much. It doesn't overshadow the plot, but it's good romance.
It's got a little bit of survival horror.
A little bit of zombie horror. Crazy AI, science fiction, philosophy. And it's just a lot of fun.
I don't know what it is, but you know, crazy AIs? Soft spot. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Because they're practically God, but they still don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend you read this book. Highly recommend it.
Do it. Also, it's pretty. Like,
really
if we haven't said that a million times, it's so pretty.
So, tell us what you think of this book, because holy crap. And if you like a review, subscribe down below. We also have a website, www.doftheA.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr.
My question is, if you were to adapt this into a movie, how would you do it?